Internet's slow, I'm sorry. I'm just watching the thing spin around. Okay, I'm live. Thanks.
All right. We'll go ahead and call the Wednesday, February 17, 2021 meeting of the Lebanon Utility Service Board to order. Just 2 minutes past 5. Let the record reflect that all board members are present and that the meeting was properly advertised and notified. And Jeff, do we need any kind of motion to shuffle the agenda tonight or?
Yes, please. I would suggest a motion to modify the agenda to move the public comment to the beginning of the meeting.
All right. Can someone provide a motion to do that?
I make a motion, we move the public comment to the front of the meeting.
Second.
Got a motion by Bill, second by Tim to move the public comment portion of the meeting to the first item tonight. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so that motion passes. Chad Kiker is on the Zoom. I can see his name. Chad, I see you're on mute. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, can hear you fine now.
I'm on I moved to a cell phone, so please let me know if it breaks up or you need me to repeat anything. I'm also a pacer when I talk on the phone, so I'll try to stay in one spot.
All right. Well, thanks for calling in. As you know, and just for the public record, our meetings are always open to the public. And Chad requested some time tonight at the meeting, and so Chad, I will turn it over to you. And do we have a time limit, guys, or do we just, however it goes?
I won't be long.
Yeah. Go ahead, Chad.
Thanks, Neil. I appreciate it, and thank you for the opportunity to come before the board tonight. I'm before you to request your consideration in implementing an ACH payment option for Lebanon utility customers. As I was doing some research, a couple of things that I found that were interesting. The concept of ACH was established in the late 1960s to actually help the members of the Air Force get their paychecks. And last year, in 2020, the ACH network moved $62 trillion through its members. And a few consumer benefits of having an ACH payment option are speed of payment. It's a lot faster than checks. It's a lower cost, super convenient, saves your customers time and money. You don't have to pay for postage, and security. And I know that with ACH, my name, my address, my account number, my bank routing numbers, and none of that information is at risk of getting lost in the mail. And from a business standpoint, a few of the benefits of ACH are low cost of processing over debit and credit cards. There's a high labor expense associated with processing paper checks. And security of all payments, ACH payments are the least susceptible to fraud. Reduction in human error and the time fixing those errors. And safety. With the COVID-19 concerns, you can cut down on the physical handling of checks. And the most important part is that your customers prefer ACH. That's all I had tonight, and I sincerely hope you will consider implementing the ACH payment option for your customers. It'll make your business more efficient and your customers in Lebanon much happier. Thank you.
Hey, Chad, thanks for coming on. I just wanted to ask you real quick, have you, and then I'll let Sandra address that in more detail because she's the expert at this, but are you familiar with our Smart Hub app yet?
I am not. I just know the website provides the ability to pay with your bank account or credit or debit card. I'm specifically referring to connecting to the financial institutions that your customers use for their banking. So instead of the bank, I use Huntington, for example, and when I go to pay my bill, I actually pay it 2 weeks early because Huntington has to process a physical check. It has to be mailed from Columbus, Ohio to Lebanon. And that's why I pay it early. And in fact, this past month, there was an issue with Huntington and with the Postal Service, and my payment was even late, even though I paid it 2 weeks early. So in order to avoid that from happening again, I felt like, I would come and speak to you tonight to ask you for that option, where if you're connected to the financial institutions, it's a very quick transaction, and there's nothing traveling through the mail.
Yep, and I will actually, I pay a lot of bills via my online banking as well, and I know that if I pay my Lebanon utility bill, a check is cut from the bank and mailed, whereas if I'm paying, say, maybe another bank or a cell phone bill or something else, when I set up that bill pay through my bank, it just deducts on the date that I set, and that payment's instantly received and posted probably within 24 hours. So I do fully understand what Chad's talking about, and appreciate you bringing that up, Chad. Sandra, do you want to add some expertise to this?
Yeah, I can add a little bit, probably not a lot. I will say we work with a third party. It's my understanding right now. So the one thing we've never done is we've never opened up our bank account to allow multiple bank accounts just to throw money into. We don't have the link between that and our billing system. So the reason we use the third party is because when people go through the third party and pay, it automatically posts their payment. It posts everything right into our accounts. It's my understanding from talking to the bank today is that a lot of times the bank will not do that with a third party. So we do have about 4,000, a little over 4,000 customers, I think, that do utilize Smart Hub, and we do have an auto pay program, Chad. I don't know if you know that or not, but you can go in and set it up and we automatically take it out every month. You don't have to go in yourself. But I'm still going to check with them and see if they can create that direct link with the financial institutions. And that way the money would still go through the third party and still go through our software system.
I appreciate that. From the customer's perspective, when you go to pay your bills, however many times you do that per month, right. If you have to go to separate websites to pay each bill, it's just a lot more convenient to do it all in one place. And with several vendors in almost every financial institution in the United States on some kind of ACH payment option, it makes it really convenient to know that your payment's going to be received fast. And you don't have to risk your personal information being lost in the mail somewhere. I understand why companies use third parties. And I'm not very well educated in terms of how to get set up with the ACH network. I just know that it's been around for a really long time.
Right.
And even our U.S. government, who actually was behind the creation of the system, they sent us our COVID stimulus checks through ACH. So from a safety standpoint and a risk of account information, our government, federal government, obviously trusts it. So.
Right. And like I said, we do utilize it on our side, but at that point, it's the customer asks us to do it and we put them on a list and we run that every single month so that the customer doesn't come back. The customer doesn't have to come back. What we haven't allowed is individual customers to initiate that, but I will talk with NISC and the third-party vendor and see how they can potentially set that up or if it's a box we should have checked. But we will look into that for you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Hey, Sandra, will you just follow up with Chad, either email or phone call, and then just let the board know somehow what you find out?
Yeah, I will. I will warn everybody. Sometimes it takes a week or two if it's not an urgent item on support. So if you mark it as urgent, it comes back pretty quick. If it's not urgent, sometimes it takes a little bit to get answers. So just give me a little bit of time to provide that information.
No problem.
Thank you for the suggestion.
No problem. And I will sign off, and thank you all very much for the opportunity to speak to you. Have a nice
Thanks
evening.
for coming on, Chad.
Thanks,
Thanks for
Chad.
coming on. We appreciate it.
All right. We've got the meeting notified, and the first item we have on the agenda is approval of minutes from our January meeting of 2021. Everyone had a chance to review the minutes, and if so, any questions or discussion on the minutes?
No, and I make a motion, we approve the minutes for January the 20th.
I'll second that motion.
If the minutes of this meeting will please note that I abstained because I was not at the January 20 meeting.
All right. I've got a motion by Bill, seconded by Jim, to approve the minutes from the January 2021 meeting. Aaron Smith noted his abstaining from the vote. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. That carries. And we also, it looks like we have a second minutes approval that maybe we didn't get to last time. And that's the minutes from our last meeting, February 3rd, 2021. Anybody have any questions or discussion on those minutes?
I'll have to abstain because I wasn't on the meeting.
I would make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
Motion by Jim, and I think that was Tim on the second for approval.
Aaron on the second.
So Aaron on the second. And with Bill abstaining to approve the minutes from February 3rd, 2021. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Looks like we're going to jump to our CFO, Sandra Morgan, for an action item here regarding our defined benefit investment. Sandra, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. So good afternoon, everyone. I am here today to discuss the funding of the defined benefit pension plan. And as a reminder to everyone, we did freeze the defined benefit plan back on December 31st, 2017 to new participants only. So everyone that's still in it is still in there, and they still grow like they would have as if we hadn't made any changes, but no new participants are allowed. In January, we did receive our actuarial valuation for 2020. The results of that valuation showed that our minimum required annual contribution is $274,522. So for the past several years, actually past what I'm going to say, we have been overfunding the plan just in an effort to minimize the unfunded liability portion on the plan. Since 2013 alone, we've been making annual contribution payments of $450,476. And what that has led to is it has led to our lowest unfunded liability that we've had since, I believe, 2014. So it is working and it's very beneficial. So because of that, what I am here today to do is recommend that the board approve that we continue to fund the plan at the same rate, the $450,476, to be allocated appropriately between all utilities versus the minimum contribution that's been recommended.
All right. Thanks, Sandra. Just for the public, the defined benefit is the fancy term for our pension plan. And I think this makes total sense as long as we're financially fine and able to make this part of the budget comfortably. Anybody have any questions for Sandra or comments on continuing to fund the pension in the increased amount?
This is Bill. I have a question. You know, we reviewed this and we decided on making a contribution every year of $450,000. We've done that over a period of time, and when we started, we had an unfunded liability of over $5 million. Now we're down to $1,746,000, and like Neil stated, you know, if we can continue to have money in the budget to do that, that's fine. But I also want to note, and because I did work on this pension program for about a year, this pension program covers 100 or less people, employees. So to me, it's still a lot of money, but you know, we can continue as long as we have the additional funds in the budget to do so.
Yeah, and we are still at 100, 100 exactly, Bill.
Yeah.
Between
It's-
people that
it's
are
still-
retired and current people and people that's terminated that still have money in the plan, we're right at 100.
Yeah, I know, but it's still a lot of money for just 100 people.
I agree.
So that's my input.
Now, this is Aaron. I just want to echo something that Sandra made reference to, that our funded ratio now is, as of the latest report, 84.4%. So, you know, from a standpoint of being fully funded, we're 84% there. And that's the most in the past 7 years. So we're making progress. And I think this extra funding will help continue that progress.
I mean, this is Bill again. I'll go along with it, but I'm really not in favor. I think we need to address this pension plan again. Neil, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, so I assume by address it again, you know, you mean, because I worked with Bill a lot on this pension over that year or so, that we, in the end, decided that we were going to freeze for new employees, and we kind of stopped after that, and we didn't take the step where we might actually reduce anybody's ability to participate who's in the plan, and, you know, start adding contributions to the 401k. And I assume that's what you mean, Bill, is kind of
Right.
looking at other options to further lessen our liability to the pension.
Absolutely. Move more closer to the 401k.
Yeah, I think that's definite. I mean, that's something that we can put back on the plate again. And I think we should discuss it again at some point, but I don't think it can hurt to try to get our funding up in this liability that we have to the current participants as high as we can, or as close as we can to 100, as long as our budget allows, at least for this year, and we can evaluate that year to year. Anybody else have any questions for Sandra on this, or why we're doing it, or if it makes sense? All right, if not, I would entertain some motions on this item.
Mr. Chairman, I'd move to approve Lebanon Utilities to continue funding the defined benefit plan at an annual contribution level of $450,476 to be allocated appropriately between all utilities.
This is Aaron. I second.
A motion by Jim, second by Aaron, to approve the contribution level of funding to the defined benefit plan, annual contribution of $450,476 to be allocated between the utilities. Any other questions or comments?
Neil, can we make this subject to review next year?
Yeah, of course. I think we just, we review it annually. And as we get, Sandra, what's the term that you said the estimates come from the
Actuary.
Yeah, the actuary's estimate compared to ours. I mean, it sounds like we're overfunding by a couple $100,000. So you know, if next year comes in and the market's having to change and our liabilities are 100,000 more, then maybe we either back it down to that 300 and some, or we maintain that overpay. So I think we do look at it annually.
All right.
Any other discussion?
I just want to make sure that you're talking about the annual contribution level. That's just annual for this year, correct?
Yeah, we get a report every year suggesting.
Well, what I mean is the motion that we're making just applies to this year.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
It's, Aaron, it's the same amount we've been paying every year.
Right, right. Yeah, I just sort of pick on your comment there that we're not agreeing to make this payment every year in the future, that we will review that going forward as well as the plan component.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think Sandra, she brings it to the board every year and basically says, here's what they recommend, here's what we've been doing, what's your thoughts, and kind of leads us to this action item. So anybody have anything else before we vote?
Yeah, so this is Jeff. I'm not quite sure. Was there an amendment to the motion that was subject to review next year? I guess if that was the case, I guess I would recommend that you leave the motion as is, and then perhaps set a deadline for review of this issue in advance of this time next year. I would be hesitant to make funding this year contingent upon something in the future.
And we do pay this monthly, so I agree with Jeff. I can't really take the money back if we didn't have a review, but again, we will. They do the valuation report every year. We normally get it in January, and then I can come to the board in February.
So I guess, Bill, what I might suggest is that the board establish a deadline to review this issue. I think is what your intent was, if I was hearing correctly, to perhaps review this in September of this year, to schedule a pension defined benefit 401k review of where we are with the plan sometime this late summer or early fall.
I would agree with what you said. I agree with your statement.
Okay, so Jeff, so do we need to officially amend the current motion, or do we approve this?
I believe the current motion stands, and Bill's suggestion wasn't actually tacked onto the motion. I just wanted to be clear what everybody was actually voting on, and that wasn't a seconded amendment to the motion.
Yeah, so I think we just keep this motion as is with I don't know if we need another motion or tack onto this in order to review this later this year or this payment every year, because I think we always do, but I will follow whatever you recommend.
No, I think you're right, Neil. Perhaps with a comment or directive from the board to review this issue later this year.
Okay, so I'll read the motion as is, and because we do have a motion and a second to approve the Lebanon Utilities continue to funding of the defined benefit plan at our annual contribution level of $450,476 to be allocated appropriately between all utilities, with an annual review later in 2021 of the pension / 401k plan.
Let's see, that was not part of the motion that I seconded, the addition.
See, Neil, in the way that reads, it says defined benefit plan at annual contribution level of $450,476. That reads like we're doing that every year, right?
Yeah, it kind of does. So we can maybe focus that into 2021.
Yeah, we can put a 2021 contribution level of
Okay, so do we need to amend this motion to reflect that this defined benefit contribution of the 450,476 is approved for the 2021 year and reviewed annually going forward?
Is that right, Jeff?
That will work, yes.
Okay.
All
Any
right.
problem on your end, Sandra?
Listen,
No, that's fine on my end. And then I just want to know, would the board like for me to notify Marie and One America that we would like them to come in sometime late summer, early fall, and do another presentation of options that they could look at on the pension plan?
Bill, is that something you would like for this year, or do you want to, since we just reviewed this last year, do you want to push that off till next year, or what do you think?
Well, we can do it next year if you're comfortable with it, and if everybody else is. Jim, what's your thoughts? He must be off.
I
Go
guess
ahead.
I would say I like Bill's motion in the sense that if you're still unfunded by $1.7 million, that's a lot of money.
Yes.
I think it adds some value to ask folks to come in and present with different options about what to do with an unfunded liability, and also protect the workers moving forward with regards to either a defined benefit or a defined contribution and how you could amend those. So I think it makes sense to do that later this year if the question is right now.
Now, this is Aaron. I just want to state that I have considerable reluctance to change the content of the plan to where we would take away previously agreed upon pension stipulations. So I just want to throw that out there now while Bill has initiated this discussion that it'd have to really be some sort of strong rationale for me want to change agreed upon pension obligations.
Yeah, I think what Bill's referring to, Aaron, is when we reviewed it and decided just to do the soft freeze, a hard freeze would have affected people based on their years of service. And Sandra, correct me if I'm wrong, it would have been some people are fully locked in. Then people who have been here so many years would get, 50% contribution to the pension and 50% to the new 401k plan. And then people who have been here under certain years would be converted fully to the 401k, if I remember.
That's correct, Neil.
Yeah,
Nobody's going to lose anything.
well, so yes and no. They would have been converted over, but people would have taken kind of a hard hit on the DB plan, and that's where we did end up losing a couple of employees when we changed the pension for that reason. I just think if we're going to look at it again, let's take a good hard look at it, and the pension company will show us what all those options are and what effect it would have on those sets of people. And we would need actuaries to help do that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
we've also had a study completed within the last 15 months or so that showed that our current 401k plan is nowhere near equivalent to the previous defined benefit plan. So
I don't remember seeing anything like that.
Well, I think it was considered to be, yes, it wasn't as good, but part of the reason that it's been considered is because the pension has been deemed unaffordable for the utility over an extended period.
Right.
I think we do set up some kind of meeting again for summer or fall.
I think so.
and I think we can just agree to it as a board. And do we actually need a motion to do that, Jeff?
No, we do have a motion pending, the seconded motion pending. But no, we don't need a motion to, unless the board feels strongly about it. I think just a comment and directive to Sandra to, and likely me to start working with One America and analyze some of the additional or the options, and with a directive to come back in this late summer or early fall to discuss.
Yeah, so the motion we have with a motion and a second is to pay this $450K amount for the year 2021.
Yes. I'd stated that.
Jim, I will second that if you agree that's your original motion.
Jim, can you still hear us okay?
Yeah, as presented, that's my motion.
Okay. All right, so we do have a motion and a second from Jim and from Aaron to approve the defined benefit plan contribution for 2021 of $450,476 to be allocated between all utilities. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thanks, Sandra, and we will get something set up for late summer or fall to look at all of our options there on our plans, because it is obviously important.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you, Sandra.
All right, our next item is listed as automated logic HVAC control upgrade, and it looks like our facilities manager, Rick Hale, is on. Hey, Rick.
Hey, good evening, gentlemen. Nice to talk to you. You probably got before you, I assume you do, the proposal from Automated Logic. Let me give you a little as to what's going on here. Our HVAC system is in need of upgrades or repairs. This was brought to my attention probably about 2 years ago, and I kind of had it on the back burner because of the expense that it would incur on us. But when they come out and do our updates on our software, Automated Logic, they keep reminding me of it. What it basically amounts to is we have several components to this heating and air system. We've got controllers, we got UNI modules. It's basically a computer system in itself. Automated Logic, this building was opened up in 2005. We are going into our 16th year of it. And as anything, things get outdated, much like computers do. You know, if you got one on your desk 2 years later, there's something bigger and better. So we're getting to that stage. The components are not just getting depleted, they're not being made anymore. So what we have to do now when something goes down for us, there are other facilities doing the same thing, switching over and upgrading. If they can pull used components to replace at other facilities, and that's what we've had to do the last couple of times because I am out of in-stock stuff that they furnished to me. I am down to one UNI, 16 UNI that I do have. That's all I have. So what we are proposing to do with you guys' approval is to start updating the system, you know, a piece at a time. Reason being, this Automated Logic is proprietary to a lot of this stuff that they've got. They've got a lot of their backbone in it. Obviously, the software that they have produced, it was done by them. No other company can go into that and do anything. We've got a couple other things in our facility that are like that also. It's kind of a double-edged sword on it, but so this does not include a software update in there, it's upgrade, and that would be quite expensive to get that done in itself. So what they want to do for us, and what I'd like to see them do for us, is start this transition of new components in here. And the first phase of it, and what it will do for me is it will give me some backup. If, say, next year or the year after we don't, at least I've got some stuff on the shelf that we can use. What we've had to do a couple of times when we couldn't get our hands on it, we had to take from a certain area in the building that wasn't so critical and move it over to some of these VAV boxes. There's about 50 VAV boxes in the building, and 3 large air handlers that all this stuff runs off of, along with, in this whole system, our sewage pumps, our surface water pumps, our UPS system in there. They're all tied into this. So the total cost of this, as you see, for this first phase, that would get us going and get us out of hot water, and I'd feel a whole lot more comfortable about by having a few on hand of the old ones, is going to be about $17,060. Now, of this, the city is responsible for 43% of the cost of repairs or upgrades in this building. So that means the city is liable for the $7,335.80. Utilities portion would be $9,041.80, and that's at the 57% is what the utility kicks in. So we pay the bill up front, and we submit a bill to the city, and they reimburse us for that. They write a check to us for that or get it into our account somehow. I'm not quite sure how that works. But the whole thing about it is Automated Logic they have been here the entire time. They installed the system. They are great to work with. They are Johnny on the spot when we have an issue, and have just been phenomenal on what they do compared to some other contractors that I've had in the past doing it. So in a nutshell, that's kind of what's going on here. And again, their software system that is running this entire system is in there. And if we even thought about going to another company, that's going to entail costs for that software program on top of all of this other. Plus, we don't, another company would have to come in and completely strip this down, everything. And we can't really work with 2 operating systems here. So at that point, basically, we'd probably have to shut the building down and get them in here and get everything installed along with that new software program. And my thoughts on it, the most logical thing to do is continue with Automated Logic, and if next year we don't have the money for some reason to do this, we can get by till the next year, and then at least we've got a few repair parts on hand. But at some point, I mean, this is a have-to thing to do this within the next couple of years. Mm-hmm. And I just, like I said, I've had it on the back burner for about 2 years. And again, they came and did an update on our software system, checked over it, make sure everything's working as it should. And they reminded me again that we really need to consider doing this update on these modules and controls for this.
Rick, I have a question. This is Aaron.
Yes, sir.
From time to time, I've heard horror stories about various buildings having problems keeping their HVA system balanced. Doing this partial improvement, do you think we'll have any balance problems between the heating and cooling?
I don't think so. This does not include them coming in and rebalancing the system on it. I don't think we'll have to, from what I got out of the technician. Everything seems to be working good. It will be a faster system. That's why they're putting a new cabling system in, so it ensures that it's faster. It operates, to top speed on it. So, the balancing, I don't think, Aaron, to answer, the best I can answer this question, I don't think so at all, to balance it out. And I guess if that's the case, and it did, probably any company, unless they include a rebalance in their offer to do it, but that's not, I do know that that's not in here as I read, to rebalance it when it's all said and done. So I don't think that'll be a big issue at all, regardless. It's just a matter of them coming back in and changing dampers here, dampers there. And I couldn't think that would be real costly to have that done anyway,
Hey, Rick, this is Bill Stoner. I got a question. So is this going to be up to the clerk treasurer to pay for the 43% or city council?
Bill, how that works is the utilities pays the bill, and then we submit an invoice to the city side, and they pay us back the 43%. And I have spoken with the city side. They know it's in their budget to do
Okay.
this.
All
It's
right.
been approved. So they were good with it, and I explained it to them. So they're all fine with it. And to take an initial hit on doing it all at once, I think I lightened the burden there, from them having it. All in all, when I look it out, if we completely do this in 4 steps, the amount is right around $77,000. And if we don't, if we don't do it, we miss a year, that's okay. We're not in a contract with them to finish it up, but we'll just have to keep our fingers crossed. At some point, it will have to be done one way or another.
All right.
For the new components in here. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking, a little bit at a time in each year, 4 years, I'll have enough stock on hand that we can replace any of the older stuff that's going out. In the meantime, we've got 50% of new goods in here that it's going to keep working. But it will work with this software program. That's why I stress that Automated Logic do this, because their software, and I didn't ask them what it would cost or what they charged their portion when they did this originally to design and make that software program for this. I'm not into that at all. I'm not a IT guy, but I do know that stuff's not cheap at all. So, and they do update our software every year, so that will continue. That we don't need a new software program to run any of this.
Hey,
So-
Bill, just to add to what Rick said, and just so everyone is aware, as far as the board goes, every bill that we get for this building, the utilities does pay for up front. So janitor services, cleaning floors, anything that we do in this building, 100% the utilities pays for. And then at the end of the month, we accumulate all those charges and we bill the city their 43%, and then they pay us the following month. So they pay us pretty much within a week or so of us billing them.
Yeah, and that includes me also. My wages,
Yeah.
my benefits, all of that. They pay 43% of that. The city does.
Okay. I just
All right.
wanted to check it. Just wanted to make sure the city was aware of it. That's good.
Yeah, they are well of a bill, and they are on board with it as far
All
as
right.
they're concerned.
Okay. That answers my question.
All right. Thanks, Rick. It sounds like basically in a nutshell, the utility share is around $9,000, and there's some needed upgrades to a 16-year-old system that will start the ball rolling on these components. So,
Yep, you're right. Again, they will pay the bill up front, but we will be reimbursed. Its utilities portion is $9,041.80.
all right. Anybody
And
else?
I can tell you this much. To go out and buy one of, say, the UNIs that they're doing, I take out a maintenance program on them, and I ask them, I said, okay, what's going to happen if we can't ever find these UNIs, these controllers? I said, with our maintenance program. He said, well, what's going to happen is we will have to stop writing a maintenance program for you because we can't support it. But I do know for a fact that one of the 32-bit controllers is right around $8,000, and I get a service contract with them for roughly $6,500 that replaces any UNI, any controller, plus gives me a block of hours, which is 16 hours, that I can use for whatever. That does not include their updates or anything. That's included in my service program that I buy from them. But I would sure hate to lose that, because we for sure would be dead in the water if we can't get parts. And I call them up and say, well, we can come out, but we have nothing to fix you with. If it's not in our software program, there's nothing we can do for you. And then, of course, another company's not going to come out there because they can't even get into our software program. So.
All right. Thank you, Rick. Anybody else have any questions for Rick before we get some motions on this item?
No.
Yeah, this is Jeff. Just to confirm, Rick, under our policy, we're required to have 2 or 3 written quotes. Do I understand from your explanation that these parts are proprietary and would not be available from another provider?
No, they would not be from another provider. We had a company in here that did some mechanical work on our air handlers at one point. Automatic Logic does not do that. Johnson Control at one time, and I quizzed them about that. One of the older technicians, he said, no, they can't work on any of that stuff. They couldn't even get into our system. So it would be starting from scratch and paying that cost, or sticking with a company, you know, and that's the main reason. I'm sure there's other great ones out there, but Automatic Logic has been good, and it's proprietary. Everything they've got is pretty much proprietary to Automated Logic. It's their company. They had these built, and they're just not building. They're just building bigger and better things wherever they come out of, you know, where they haven't produced that. I believe they actually have a factory in Georgia is where they're making them at, this stuff. So.
All right. Anything else for Rick? If not, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
I move to approve the agreement with Automated Logic in the amount of $17,060 to replace 25% of the control panels in a municipal building. This approval is subject to city reimbursement to us for 43%, $7,335.80.
Second.
Got a motion by Bill, seconded by Tim to approve the agreement with Automated Logic in the amount of $17,060 to replace 25% of the control panels in the municipal building, subject to city reimbursing the utilities for 43%, which is $7,335.80. Any other questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you, Rick. Appreciate that.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it. Have a good night.
All right. The next item is for our wastewater manager, Ryan Ottinger, who has a ongoing spot in our meetings, and he's going to address the Syracuse Drive water main performance contract. Hey, Ryan.
Hey, thanks everyone. I know it does look like I have a lot on the agenda, but a lot of the stuff will go quick. Joining me tonight is John Leitner from BF&S, as he's part of Syracuse Drive. He's part of pretty much all these projects we have going on. So if we have any technical questions, John is able to contribute or hopefully answer those. As we all know, and Tim, just a little background, Syracuse Drive has been a major thorn in the utility side when it comes to the water main. It is a 6-inch water main, and we have had numerous breaks, an abnormal amount of breaks on this line, including one that a couple of years ago did cause some major property damage with windows, cars nearby, roofs, shooting gravel into the surrounding area. We have, like I said, an abnormal amount, and so our plan is to replace all that 6-inch main. It is about 3,800 feet of main, and as you can see on the screen right there that Ed shared, we're going to do all of Syracuse Drive over to Fairlane Drive, that loop there, and then also Syracuse Court. Syracuse Court, that purple line there in the middle is actually just a 2-inch line that dead ends, and we're going to put and there's no hydrant in that cul-de-sac there. So to flush that out, we literally have to remove someone's meter and stop their water service for just a small period of time. But nonetheless, you know, if they're in the middle of laundry or something like that, it can be very inconvenient. So we're going to actually put a 6-inch main into that cul-de-sac and put a new hydrant there. So that's going to improve their fire protection and make it easier for us to flush a dead end, which obviously, if you have a dead end, you want to be able to flush it and move that water. This is a budgeted amount. The budget amount is $1.3 million. The guaranteed saving contract maximum price is $1,391,000. And the reason for that it went over based on the engineer's estimates is, one, on the water main side of the replacement, we do plan on putting in new sidewalks. The sidewalks are in pretty bad shape, and we're going to obviously do more damage when we go through there and do all of our connections. So that wasn't in the original plan. And then we did decide, based on some of the root, where we think the root lines are for trees, we're going to have a little bit more tree removal than anticipated. John, is there anything else I'm leaving out that kind of drove that cost a little bit more than what we were anticipating?
Yeah, one of the other items I think we might want to note is that we added an allowance for Cocosing to help should there be a water main break on the old line while they're so we're putting the new line in, leaving the old line on until the new line's ready to be energized. So it just makes a little bit more sense to have Cocosing there and ready to make a repair should there be a problem with the old line. Again, it's guaranteed savings. So if we don't use that allowance and don't have any water main breaks, which is very hopeful, then we will just have that money where you can use it for other items or on a wish list potentially, or it would just get returned back to the Lebanon utilities. So.
And why that's so important is without that in the contract, if there's a main break, basically wherever my crew was during this construction, they would have to leave whatever they're doing and come to address the water main break, and the water main break would probably stop Cocosing anyway from construction, because you don't want to be working in an area where there's running water down the road or possible damage. So they can jump on it right away. BF&S will have an inspector out there so to make sure that they're doing everything by city standards anyway. So this will, with this line being so unreliable, just putting that in there just to make sure we can keep water service to all the customers as long as possible was key in there. And I'd like to think that we'll get some of that money back. I would rather, in this case, we're being much safer than being sorry after the fact. So that's kind of why we had a little bit more. And John and I can answer any questions that anybody might have on this issue.
Ryan, this is Aaron.
Yes, sir.
If I read the contract right, there's going to be 22 trees removed, and these trees will not be replaced, and that there will be periodic full road closures. So I think that one important factor of this project might be communication with the homeowners, that these trees are going to be removed and not replaced, and that they will experience some road closures. So is there some sort of procedure set up to communicate with the homeowners?
Yes, there is, and that was a key factor, along with obviously keeping the water on, was communicating with the homeowner. And a lot of the trees are already in the easement. Will
this communication be by the contractor or by Lebanon Utilities employees?
It's, I believe, and John, you can answer this, I believe it's through Cocosing. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's the way we're going to start. Is we're going to work together, develop kind of a door hanger system type of thing. We're also going to have, Aaron, it won't just be road closures. They're going to need to communicate with individual homeowners on driveway impacts and things like that, making sure that everybody there are going to be disruptions. There's almost no way to get around it, but they can be planned disruptions rather than the disruptions that the water main breaks have caused.
And Aaron, we're also going to have a tab on our website to where anyone can go. We're going to do a current projects tab. Jeff Jacobs suggested that, and which I think is a fantastic idea. And we'll have that on there with updates on potential closures and potential issues, and kind of an estimated progress report of where we are within the project. 25% done, 50% completion, 7,500 and whatnot. So we'll be able to communicate with that. And the door notices are key, because obviously with the pandemic, it's difficult to go door to door and talk to people, but we are going to go and give as much information as possible, as often as possible, and just to make sure that they're aware of that. And we expressed our concerns with Cocosing with that, and they're very receptive to whatever we need them to do to maintain communication.
Yeah, it's probably important to note, Ryan, that Cocosing recently constructed the Indianapolis Avenue water main improvements for us, and did a great job with communicating with the it was mostly businesses along that strip. But we feel pretty confident, and that's one of the reasons I think that the scoring committee decided to recommend going with Kokosing was how well they communicated with property owners.
That's good to know. Thank you.
And I will say before, and I'm sorry to interrupt, Neil, if you're getting ready to talk, but we did, the project was supposed to start, and I believe it's supposed to start, kind of mobilization next week. Obviously, with the weather, they called to ask if they could kind of push that back. So what we'll do is the length of time on there, we'll just extend that. They won't be taking any longer and starting at the same time taking longer. They'll just be, kind of postponing it just a little bit until we can actually see the ground and bring in a trailer and bring in their supplies. But they have actually already started ordering stuff, and they're very eager to get this thing started. And I know the residents are, and my workers are also eager to get this started.
All right. Thanks, Ryan. I know this area has been a kind of a headache, and the guys have been out there multiple times, so it'll be nice to get this cleaned up. Anybody else have any questions for Ryan on the Syracuse Drive?
I have one quick question, and I should have asked earlier, so I apologize, Ryan. Do you think this qualifies to be paid for out of availability funds or just reserves?
Are you, so
Is it a budgeted item?
Yes, sir. It is budgeted. It was budgeted in the reserves category. I don't know about availability fees only because there's no new users, but I don't know. I mean, I would definitely want to, if we wanted to explore that, I have no problem.
Yeah, I would say no, because it's not new construction. It's already existing. This is rehab. This is rehab and replacement capital.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure because I would rather take it out of there if I could, but we'll leave it as reserves.
This is Aaron. I have a question for Jeff Jacob. Jeff, should the start date in the contract be changed?
If I could kind of interject, this is John Leitner. So what we're going to do, there is not really a start date in the contract. The contract has a certain number of calendar days that will be done. The start date is based off a notice to proceed, and that's the way we're going to handle it. Is we'll delay the notice of proceed by to get the calendar started off right. We don't want to start it and have an immediate weather delay that we want to talk about.
Good deal. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, anything else for John or Ryan? All right, if not, I'd entertain some motions on the Syracuse Drive water main.
I move to approve the Kokosing Industrial Incorporated Guarantee Savings Contract for Syracuse Drive water main improvement in the amount not to exceed $1,391,000.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Bill, seconded by Jim to approve the Kokosing Guaranteed Savings Contract for Syracuse Drive water main improvement in the amount not to exceed $1,391,000. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, thank you, everyone. We'll stick with Ryan here for the Noble Street property transfer on the next item.
Thank you. This item is the property request is at 501 East Noble Street, and it is a property that the Lebanon Utilities Electric Department purchased, and is part of our, if you'll remember, our land swap agreement to swap this parcel with the city and for the Parks Department in order for us to get the 2 acres in Admiral Longley Park for the water storage tank. And in part of the agreement with the Parks Department, we agreed that, or I'm so sorry, with the park board was to demolish this house and the garage on the property that we own. And that's through, since it's a water department project, we needed to purchase this from the electric so they can be made whole. And then it's our project to then swap with the parks, kind of the beginning piece of the dominoes to get to that, the water storage tank. So this is a budgeted item, and it would simply just be, and Sandra could speak on this, and Jeff could speak on this, as far as this just makes sure that with the, I believe, State Board of Accounts and everyone involved with that, that we are right on the books and the accounting process to make sure that this is actually our property, electric's been reimbursed, and we can move forward to land swap. Sandra, am I leaving anything out on that?
No, this property is an asset on the books of the electric department. So in order for the water utility to be able to use it as leverage to swap property with the city, we do need to get the property over on the books of the electric utility. There's a couple different ways we can do that, but since the water utility has the funds, it made the most sense for them to just reimburse the electric utility for that purchase.
Didn't we, Ryan, didn't we already demolish that house?
No, sir. We, all we did is we got permission, or we got help from, our permission to receive help from BFNS on the advertising, the quotes for that.
So we haven't done that yet?
No,
Okay.
sir. No, we wanted to
Why,
make
why don't we just, why can't we just transfer that property? Rather than going, if we purchase it, you're going to have to have a purchase agreement, right, Jeff?
No, sir. We're simply, that's what this is doing. Mr. Stoner is simply transferring it from one division within the utility to another. But since it is an asset, the thought process was to have a motion for the approving that action.
But it should read like, I move to transfer the property, not purchase the property, right?
Well, if we just transfer the property, you're going to end up showing a loss on the books of the electric utility. You're going to have a loss on that asset for almost $200,000 with all the incidentals we had on that versus having them just purchase it outright and making the electric whole.
So you want to purchase it outright?
Yeah, because electric already owns it, so the water is just going to pay the electric what they have in it and move it over.
Is that right, Jeff?
Yes, sir. I apologize. I used transfer and intended to be, in effect, that's what's happening, but it's through a purchase.
Not a purchase agreement, just a purchase. Transfer, purchase to transfer.
With the board, since this is an interdepart or an inter-utility transfer, in effect,
Right.
we don't need a purchase agreement to do that. The board's action will suffice.
To transfer the property.
Correct.
Okay.
And effectuate the purchase. Correct.
So you would want the motion to read, I move to approve the transfer of the property in a purchase form?
No.
Or how do you want to read? How do you want that to read?
Just the way it's written.
Probably just as it's written there on the background, it says purchase because technically water will purchase it from electric for the amount they paid or have in it.
Well, we should state that, right?
Yeah, I think it says it in the current.
No, it doesn't. It just says, I move the purchase of the property. It doesn't say anything about what the amount of the electric has in it. This transfer is purchased by the water department. Somewhere in there is that right, Sandra? Don't you have to have some kind of dollar amount in there?
It would be nice to have the dollar amount. So I think if we look at what Ryan sent, he has that dollar amount. I don't have it in front of me. I did have.
I apologize, Mr. Sterner. You're exactly right. I did not put the dollar amount in there. It is $168,000 $995, and that's based off of the Meridian title document. And we did budget $195 for that, so it will be $26,005 less than the budgeted, what we budgeted originally.
So that amounts 168,000 what?
$995.
Okay.
I apologize. Thank you for catching that.
I think you got to put something in there.
Bill, you want to make that motion as written with, and go ahead and include that amount in there?
Yeah, I make a motion to move to approve the purchase transfer of the property located at 501 East Noble Street from the Lebanon Utility Electric Department for the Lebanon Utilities Water Department for the price of $168,995. Does that suffice, Jeff?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right, got a motion by Bill. Do we have a second out there?
I'll second.
Motion by Bill, second by Tim to approve the purchase of the property located at 501 East Noble Street from the Lebanon Electric Utility Department for the Lebanon Utility Water Department in the amount of $168,995. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Thank you, Ryan. We'll keep you up here for a little while longer for the tree clearing award recommendation.
We're getting there. We're chugging along. We're getting the final stretches here.
There's a lot of items on here. Really more than what, okay, go ahead.
The chemical bids will go real fast. They're just different motions, but I can bunch it all in together, so it won't take long at all. This is for the Abner Longley tree clearing project. We did do requests for quotes on this, and we received 5 quotes, and the lowest quote was from DNS Tree Service for $17,500. We were real happy with the response for this, and everything checked out on their quote. Everything was password protected. The whole virtual opening went very well. Jeff, Jacob, John Leitner, and myself were in there all together, so everything was conducted. This is for the 2-acre parcel on Abner Longley Park, and this will allow them to go ahead and take these trees down. We have been working with the city and with John Messenger, who's been great to work with this entire time, about getting this process started, and we've shown them everything that's going to be, we've marked everything that's coming down in the area, and they are perfectly happy with all of that and have no objections to that whatsoever. And we always want to make sure that we keep them in mind, but this is the next step on this property to get everything ready for pre-construction and the construction process. So I'll take any questions, and Jeff did help us with this. So obviously John can, and then Jeff can help us answer any questions that might come up from the virtual bid opening if needed.
All right. Any questions for Ryan on the tree clearing?
Yeah, this is Bill. I got a question on this one as well. What, you got on here on the motion, subsequent service contracts. So you're going to have an ongoing service contract with these folks?
Award the contract.
Well, I think this is for for Ed to sign the notice of award, and then after that, the service contract for this project only. Is that right, Jeff? Am I right in that?
Yes. So that would authorize. I'm not sure where service has come from, Ryan, but it would to execute the agreement.
You ought to take service out and just subsequent contract and notice to proceed, right? Would that take care of making the motion correct?
Yes, that would work, Bill.
All right.
I'm just looking through the bid information. It may be called a service contract. Is that right, Ryan or John?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the Lebanon utility service contract is what.
Yeah, so I think, yeah, so in subsequent Lebanon utility service contract, Bill, either way. Yeah. Or as written works.
And the contract will be written so that the service is just this one job, right?
That's correct.
All right. And yeah, we just need to be clear on that. Okay.
And also, I do want to, John Leitner pointed out on the agenda background, it says on the, I move to award it says D&T tree service. It is D&S tree service, which is correct on my recommendation sheet.
D&S, okay.
Yes, sir. And like I said, on the board approval request, it does say D&S.
All right, anything else for Ryan or Jeff on the tree clearing recommendation? If not, I'd entertain some motions.
I make a motion. I move to award the contract to D&S Tree Service for $17,500 to clear trees in the future site of the Abner Longley Water Storage Facility. General Manager Ed Basquil is authorized to sign the notice of award and the subsequent service contract and notice on this project to proceed upon legal review.
Second.
A motion by Bill, second by Aaron to approve, to move to award the contract for D&S Tree Service for $17,500 to clear the trees in the future site of Abner Longley Water Storage Facility. Our general manager is authorized to sign this notice of award and the subsequent service contract for this project, and notice to proceed upon legal review. Anything else for Ryan on this item? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
In a minute, buddy.
All right, thanks guys. And now Ryan, you can do your chemical thing here for the next 4 or 5 items.
So for the next 3, they're all water chemical bids. We did do a bid process, and we did that was advertised correctly, and everything went well with that process. And so I can kind of explain all 3, but we want to do all 3 in separate motions just to make sure that I wanted to make sure that if one wasn't what the board wanted, it wouldn't be other chemicals would not be rejected. So the ammonia sulfate, all 3 bids, I apologize. Ammonia sulfate, chlorine, and phosphate were all Brentag Midwest, or I'm sorry, Mid-South Incorporated was the low bidder on all 3. So it would be the same company. We've done business with Brentag before, and they actually deliver our chlorine now. So not a lot of change with that. The ammonia sulfate was accepted bid at $0.475 per pound. And that's an estimated cost of $7,125, but like that is the estimated usage cost. So
you want it not to exceed on there, or how you want that?
I don't think, and Jeff, you might be able to help me with that. I don't think we want to do it not to exceed in case we use more. Or do we do it not to exceed, and then if we need to come back in for a supplement, we can?
I think
You
we
gotta
just,
have some kind of dollar amount on there.
I think we just approved that 47.5 cents per pound because, you
Right.
know, if we need ammonia sulfate and it's over budget, we're still going to use ammonia sulfate. Or, you know what I
That's
mean?
correct.
And so I just put the estimated on there just so you would know kind of the usage. But the price per pound is what is what I would like to, and that goes for, so chlorine is 33 cents a pound, and then phosphate is $1.68 per pound. So I would propose that we just approve the price per pound, and that, you know, that gets us to make sure we have to have that legally. We have to have chlorine and the phosphate, and then the ammonia is what we add to the chlorine to make our chloramines, which is part of our treatment process. So we have to have all that, whether it does exceed or not. But that is,
How do you budget for it?
yes, we do have it is budgeted. It's all a budgeted item.
It's based upon what was used last year and an estimate of what would be this year, probably with a slight increase in the cost of living increase, I would guess, is how Ryan budgets for it. But I believe that these Brintag was the Ryan also the successful bidder on the phosphate as well, correct?
So Brintag was the successful bidder on all three of the chemical bids. The only one that they were not the lowest bidder on was chlorine, and I did put that in the request form. But the company that was the lower bidder had a 16 cylinder, so each cylinder is 150 pounds of chlorine. They have a 16 cylinder order minimum, and per IDEM at our Sugar Creek facility, we're only allowed 13 full cylinders at any point in time. So we would risk running out of chlorine if we tried to meet that 16 cylinder minimum, or we would risk being over the allotted poundage that we're allowed at any facility. So based on that, we went with Brintag. So Brintag Mid-South would be the vendor for all three of these chemicals.
Okay, now I guess one thing to add is, as far as going over budget, if all of these chemicals are fed on a concentration basis on how much water we treat and how much water we use. So if we were to go over a budget on chlorine and the plant's operating properly, which I assume it is because Ryan does a really good job with it, the reason we're over budget is because we've used a lot more water and we've sold a lot more water, and it's going to more than offset it. So that's the other reason why we're just more concerned about the price per pound.
And how we got that, Mr. Stoner, is we just took our gallons. We do over the last 5 years, we look at our gallons of water that we use, that we treat, and then we add, I believe this year we added about 10% based off last year to give it, because based off our increases, they weren't quite 10%. Mm-hmm. So we went ahead and padded that to where we could account for the growth and the extra usage. And that's where we came up with the estimated amount of product needed.
Well, let me ask you this question, and then I'll stop asking questions. What it looks like to me, couldn't you just make these decisions on your own as operating expenses rather than bringing it to the board?
I believe with it being a yearly contract that we wanted to get the board's approval. Jeff might be able to weigh on that, and in the future, if the board doesn't feel like I need to, then that's perfectly fine by me. Whatever the board wishes is what the direction I'll go.
Yeah, because this was a bid annual contract, Bill, it needed to come back to the board for approval.
Okay.
I agree with that. From a state board of accounts standpoint, they're going to look for a contract on something like that because of the cumulative total.
Well, I understand the total, but there again, I mean, that's fine. We can vote on it, but and I'm sure the State Board of Accounts wants to look at what the total is, but the only thing we're bidding on, only thing we're voting on is what the price per pound is, not the total.
Well, no, correct, but you're approving the successful bidder. The board authorized a bid process a meeting or two ago, and now you're approving that award. And that award is for a per pound, as you note, that could exceed a total that is above the signing limit for a maintenance item that Ryan would have. So that's why, and because it's an annual contract, the State Board of Accounts requires, or this is the way that the public purchase law sets out that we handle these.
And on my paper, or I'm so sorry, on the board background, the agenda background for this meeting, it does have the correct language of just the price per pound, and for Brentag Mid-South Incorporated for all three, and they're just three separate motions, so that to make sure that we got everything taken care of for each chemical.
All right. So
All right, go ahead.
if there's no other questions for Ryan on this, usually how we make these run through is somebody will just read the motion on number 9. We'll vote on it, and then that person can read 10, vote 11, and then we'll vote unless there's questions in each one. So since it looks like the ammonia sulfate is the first item, so if anybody has any other questions for Ryan, we'll go ahead and take a motion for number 9.
All right, I move to approve the bid for the Brentag Mid-South Inc. for ammonium sulfate in the amount of 0.475. Is that cents per pound?
It's 7.5 cents.
Yeah, I think it's 47.5 cents.
47.5 cents. All right, it doesn't read it. Okay. All right, so what do you want me to read 10 too?
We'll go ahead. We have a motion by Bill. Anybody second that?
Second it.
Motion by Bill, second by Jim to approve the bid from Brentag Mid-South for ammonia sulfate in the amount of 47.5 cents a pound.
Oh, wait, I think we have the wrong chemical here. It's the ammonia sulfate's the $1.68 a pound. That's number 9. So we want to do 9, unless I'm missing something.
I apologize. No, Ed, I believe that we updated that. Aaron, I had the phosphate and ammonia backwards, and am I wrong, or is that or Ed, are you? Let me look at it.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
We got a new background today from Teresa, I think.
I must have missed it. Sorry.
Yeah, it was later in the day. I apologize.
So that 47.5 cents is correct, Ryan, for number 9, right? Ammonia sulfate.
Yes, sir. Sorry about that, Ed. That was on. Aaron was able to spot that before this morning, and so we were able to change that.
My bad. Just to make sure it was right.
Aaron caught that. All right. We do have a motion by Bill and a second by Jim. Any other questions on the ammonia sulfate? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we'll jump to the bill. Do you want to do chlorine as well?
Sure. Number 10, I move to approve the bid for Brentag Mid-South Inc. for chlorine in the amount of 33 cents a pound.
I second it.
Motion by Bill, seconded by Jim to approve the bid from Brentag Mid-South for chlorine in the amount of 33 cents a pound. Any other questions for Ryan? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? All right, Bill, you want to do the last one?
All right. I move to approve the bid for Brentag Mid-South Inc. for phosphate in the amount of $1.68 a pound.
I second it.
Motion by Bill, seconded by Jim to approve the bid for our Brentag Mid-South for phosphate in the amount of $1.68 per pound. Anybody have any questions for Ryan on the phosphate? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thanks for everyone for that. Sticking with Ryan again for the chemical rebid for the polymer.
Yes, I'd like to request that we dismiss the bids that we received. We did receive 2 polymer bids in this whole bid package. And once we advertise for the bids, Mike Napier with Biochem, who has worked with our wastewater plant before, explained to me during this process how you need more of a spec bid than just a generic polymer bid, because there's so many, some companies could have 100 different forms of polymer. So what we did in the meantime is we enlisted Bob Holden's help from Wessler Engineering, and he and Jeff and I had a great conversation. And Bob has submitted a specific bid for polymer that we can send right back out and is tied to the characteristics that we need at the wastewater plant, as opposed to somebody that says, well, I can give you polymer for 50 cents a pound, but you're going to end up using 5 times more than the polymer that was $1 a pound. So this is specific to our needs at the wastewater plant. And it also has language in there that if those needs change based on conditions at the wastewater plant, we can request a different polymer based on that. And so what I'd like to do is dismiss the 2 bids that we have and go re-advertise this and get this bid, a spec bid done correctly. That is what our wastewater treatment plant needs, which would be better for the plant and be better for our ratepayers to know that we've got the right. And in the end, we'll be spending only the amount of money needed to treat what we have at the wastewater treatment. Jeff, is that
right? So this is Jeff. Just to jump in, and I've probably learned more about polymer in the last few weeks than I care to know. But what we've discovered, and just by way of background, this is the second time we've bid this chemical and this is a binder that goes into our centrifuge and combines with the waste product. And what we have done last year was sort of a learning process of trying to figure out, using a shotgun approach, on what polymer would work best with our system. And as Ryan noted, one of the bidders this year, or one of the prospective bidders this year, pointed out that we've really sort of learned last year where we are, and these polymers are more proprietary in nature. And there are so many different kinds that trying to bid it in this fashion, we had 2 choices. One, to do this as a service contract, which would likely have been more expensive, or rebid this with a more tailored bid spec designed to potentially save us a little bit of money rather than a shotgun approach. So after talking to Wessler Engineering, Ryan, and Mike Napier, we sort of learned from this process and decided to pull back and try to hone the bid spec. So the request is for the bids to be dismissed and all rejected, and really start over and use the more honed bid spec to go back at this with the thought that we can have a few prospective bidders come in and do some testing and sampling, all the hope to be to reduce use of chemical and to have a more cost-effective process.
And just to put everybody at ease, we currently are still using the polymer. So this delay, the only thing that rebidding will affect is if in the few weeks that it takes us to rebid, the company that we're currently buying from has a price increase, we'll be subject to that price increase instead of having a locked in price for a year. But that's not with the conditions that we have right now. That's not in the cards from what we can tell. So that we're still using product and we're just buying it by the tote, and we just don't have the contract with a company. So this will ensure that we have an efficient product for the treatment plant.
Ryan, this is Aaron.
Yes, sir.
The new bid documents, is that going to have a list of like 10, 15 different polymers on that we're asking for prices on, or?
No, actually, and I was reviewing those today. It actually gives the characteristics of what the polymer will need to do.
Oh, okay.
It also gives the characteristics of the sludge, and can't go real deep in the weeds on the sludge like some of my wastewater experts can. But basically, there's a breakdown of that sludge, and it puts in the specs for our specific sludge. So they're not just throwing, closing their eyes and throwing darts. They can tailor that bid specifically for the characteristics of our sludge instead of sludge in general.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else have any questions for Ryan on this rebid for the polymer before we get motions? All right. I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the request to dismiss the original polymer bids and allow Ryan Ottinger to re-advertise bids for the polymer at wastewater treatment plant.
Second.
Motion by Bill, seconded by Aaron to approve the request to dismiss the original polymer bids and allow Ryan Ottinger to re-advertise for bids for polymer at the wastewater treatment plant. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thanks, Ryan. Jump now to the biosolid hauling.
And I appreciate everyone's patience on this. And this is my last item. I know you're all going to be sad to hear that, but this is the biosolids hauling and disposal. So along with the centrifuge and the polymer, we do have biosolid waste that we separate and have to be hauled away. What we did as part of the chemical bids, we advertised for this also. We did receive 2 bids. And the low bid per wet ton was from Carl Enviro Organic Recycling Incorporated, and that was for $32.50 per wet ton. And this is a budget item, and it's just a necessity with our centrifuge. And this is how the wastewater gets treated. You separate the solids and take those out, let the liquids go through, and you process that. So this will allow us to take those solids, and Carl has all the proper IDEM permits. That's who we have used the last few years and the last couple of years, and they do a great job. And the designers, Wesley, did a great job designing our centrifuge to where we can there's 2 sides to it, and we can keep a trailer in there. So all they do is bring us an empty trailer, park it, take the full trailer out when needed, and then we just switch the centrifuge over to the other side. So it's a very efficient process. And like I said, Carl has all the hauling permits from IDEM and is approved by IDEM. So that way all of our paperwork and all of the proper steps have been taken to make sure this is applied and used according to IDEM permits and not taken away by just a fly-by-night company. So I'll take any questions on this if anybody has any.
So this is Aaron. I noticed that the estimated total amount that we plan to spend on hauling for this year is $100,750, which is more than the $80,000 you budgeted. Why is there that difference between what you anticipated at budget time and now?
It's just when I estimated it at budget time, I estimated the cost per ton to be less than what it came in as. It's what we paid last year and then our usage, and so I missed the mark on the cost per ton.
Thank you. One more thing. I noticed we only had 2 bidders, yes, but this is really a specialized operation, isn't it?
It is, and there's a lot of hoops for someone that would haul this the waste away to jump through. You can't just take it and pour it on the ground. You can't just take it and put it in a dump. You have to have to take it from us. You have to have the EPA and IDEM credentials.
Because a limited number of suppliers have all the IDEM permits and that sort of.
I think you're right, terminology. They have to be certified to do it.
And they have to not only be able to be allowed per IDEM to haul it, but they have to prove to IDEM that they're disposing of it in a responsible manner. So that, you can't just have a guy that owns 3 dump trucks come and get a few loads here and a few loads there. It has to be per IDEM. And we want to make sure that we're being responsible, even when it leaves our plant, that it's being applied responsibly. So yeah, that does limit. And the fact that we have 2 bidders is great because it does limit who can and cannot haul these biosolids away.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right. Anything else for Ryan on the biosolids hauling and disposal item? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve the bid for biosolids hauling and disposal for Carroll Enviro Organic Recycling Inc. for $32.50 per wet ton.
Second.
Motion by Bill, seconded by Aaron, to approve the bid for biosolids hauling and disposal for Carroll Enviro Organic Recycling for $32.50 per wet ton. Anything else for Ryan on this item? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Thank you, Ryan, for your time tonight.
Thank you guys for your time.
Next item is the approval of the claims, payrolls, transfers. And it looks like it's dated February 17th in the amount of $1,648,449.97. Any questions or discussion on the claims?
I move to approve the claims payroll transfers dated February 17th, 2021 in the amount of $1,648,449.97.
Second.
Motion by Jim, seconded by Aaron, to approve the claims dated February 17th, 2021 in the amount of $1,648,449.97. Any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. The next item is any other business. Ed, do you or anyone else have anything else for the board tonight?
Yeah,
I have something for the board.
Go ahead.
Lebanon Utilities had a promotion today. David Bailey was promoted to metering supervisor. David has been with the company since 2014 and has completed a 4-year accredited apprenticeship for metering in late 2019. So I just wanted to congratulate him.
Hey, I'll make a quick comment about David. I can tell you that in my time on the board, if anyone out in the public knows that I'm on the board, and sometimes they figure that out and want to talk either good or bad about the utilities, everything, multiple times I've had compliments about David and how knowledgeable he is when he's out and about. So kudos to him.
That's good.
For my short time on the board, I'd like to also say that I find David to be an excellent source of information, and I appreciate his service. And congratulations on the promotion.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. I had one thing, if it pleases the board. I just wanted to mention that in the IMEA, our professional organization that we get our training from for linemen, they also do our safety training. A few months back, I requested they do an independent safety audit of us, just as an outside looking in type thing. And Dwayne Richardson conducted the audit, and we just went over the results with employees on a company-wide conference call, just being transparent, keeping all employees involved, and they gave us a high A-. They liked how we did things. Some of the salient comments they mentioned that we're, as far as safety training, we have some of the best attendance at the safety training meetings. We just want to keep that awareness going. I just want to say thank the staff for their commitment, and we're going to continue to work on that A+ for the next time we get an audit. So thanks, staff.
So our grade was what?
A- is what Mr. Richardson said.
Was the is the audit results available for board review?
I'll have it in board book it for the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
And I will say the best thing about this was all the staff members filled out evaluations anonymously, so they didn't have to fear any repercussions if they gave us bad marks. And the IMEA came out, and actually an unmarked vehicle went out to job sites, followed guys around, and really did their due diligence. So to get an A-, I couldn't have been prouder with the safety culture that we have here. And that's kudos to all the crews out there that are doing the right thing every day.
Good stuff.
I want to notice too that I agree with the good safety efforts made by our electric department. A couple of visits I've made to job sites, they even required me to take part in the on-the-job, pre-job safety planning. So they're an impressive operation, and I look forward to reading the details of the report.
Right. Anybody have anything else for the board? The only thing I will contribute, and I know all of you are probably aware, is that the dire situation in Texas with the power and electricity being out and frigid temperatures that they're clearly unprepared for. So it just goes to show how important utilities are and how easily they're taken for granted when everything's going well. But, I just got a news alert that said that one mayor in Texas said people need to fend for themselves, and that's pretty scary, and should be very proud of the job that everybody's doing every day, because we have a pretty good operation, fortunately. All right, I know we did the public commenting earlier. Ed, do we have anybody else who's asked to comment or have written in?
No, just that one individual, and we already covered him. Oh, Sandra is raising her hand though. Hang on.
I just wanted to add something really quick. A big kudos to Rick, and I think the wastewater guys all came up. They had this building completely dug out, sparkling. They really did an amazing job with all that snow that we had. And with that much snow, there's nowhere to take it. So, these guys were trucking in and out all morning to get this building looking like it does. So, thank you. And they did a great job.
That was Rick and who?
I believe, Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong, several of the wastewater guys came up, and I even saw David Bailey out there shoveling. So kudos to all those guys.
Rick did a great job coordinating that, and he kind of had everything lined out well before the first flake hit the ground, which he always does. And so we sent crews up there, and actually after that was done, we got a kind of an emergency call from the John Messenger in the Parks Department that they couldn't, on the Boone County Square, they had nowhere to put any of the snow. There's just it was just too piled up. So we sent crews there, and I had guys working through lunch, hauling snow to the park, hauling snow wherever we could get it to clear it out. And John called me and just could not be more thankful for our help with that. And that's what it's all about, is when you have something like that, it's for everybody together and just get the job done. My guys never said a word, couldn't have been more cooperative. And like I said, big kudos to Rick. Rick had that all lined out well before the first flake hit the ground. So they did a great job. You couldn't even tell that parking lot had snow on it by the time that they were done.
Yeah, I saw our trucks out on the square, as you mentioned. They were helping out, multiple of trucks. So good stuff there.
Yeah, another indication of how good our city-owned utility is.
Amen.
All right. Anybody else have anything for the board? Ed, you said there's no additional public comment?
No, sir, no additional public comment.
All right, and that brings us to the next meeting, which is scheduled for March the 3rd at 5 p.m. If nobody has anything else, I gladly entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Jim, seconded by Aaron to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? All right. Thanks again, everyone, for all your work. Long meeting, but good meeting. So take care, be safe, and see you next meeting.